Thanks for joining us here at Enjoy the View Travel, and welcome to the channel. This week's View on Travel Season 2 starts now. Hey! There are 22 days until Celebrity Ascent. I'm so excited. The week was really dragging by, but we're getting there. So I have started my list. I have adjusted my list and adjusted my list and adjusted my list, and I am sure that I will adjust it some more. So you would think by now that I would have this packing thing down, but things are always changing. Things that you can take on cruises are always changing, or things that you can take on the airlines are always changing. So my packing list never stays quite the same. It stays very similar, but you never know. It could be that there are a different number of dress-up nights, formal nights. Maybe your cruise has themed nights. So you have to take all of this into consideration and for what you're packing. So for me, this weekend is all about the outfits. So I'm going to get started pulling my outfits. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but I'm narrowing down. I've pulled some outfits. So now, you got to narrow down, pick out, do I want to take this? Do I not want to take this? That whole thing. So that's where I'm at. And I'm going to actually pull out the old suitcase, or in this case, the new suitcase. So, I got some new suitcases, and I'm going to actually be using them for the first time. So we'll see how they do. So things that I know won't wrinkle that much, I'll go ahead and I'll pack those now. So, and then miscellaneous things like, I take a laundry bag to put my dirty clothes in during the week. My medicine bag, we're going to go ahead and get that made up and pack that so we don't have to worry about that. And then, other things as well. But the things that you can go ahead and pack early, pack those early. That way you don't have to worry about it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about that a little bit later in our travel tip of the week. But we are definitely counting down 22 days. So I am sure most of you have already heard about the earthquake that rocked the Caribbean. Last week it was a 7.6, so almost an 8.0 there. It was south of the Cayman Islands, as you can see here on this map. They did issue a brief tsunami alert, but it was lifted later. And really, since the earthquake happened actually at sea, there was not any significant reports of damage, which is an excellent thing. But I had a friend that messaged me right afterwards because I made a quick post on our VIP page and said, hey, the earthquake was, almost 8.0 in the Caribbean. So, keep those in mind. Tsunami alerts, had been issued. And I had a friend that messaged me because she had a family that was on a cruise, and they had been in Bimini, Bahamas, either a day or two before, and she wasn't sure where they were going next. And she wanted to know if they were going to be safe. And I said, well, I really can't answer that. I don't know what happens on a cruise ship when an earthquake happens or a tsunami warning is issued. And so I got to doing some research. So I wanted to share with you what I found out. What happens on an earthquake, not on an earthquake, on a cruise ship, when there's an earthquake nearby or a tsunami alert is issued, what happens? And so in my research, what I found out, I found a really good informational video. So what happens if the ship is right over where the earthquake is, you experience what's called a seaquake. And so those that have experienced that say it kind of feels like you have run into a sandbar or some kind of something, but you keep going and there's no actual damage to the ship. There's a good bit of noise from it, but there's really not any kind of damage or anything to the ship, which is a good thing to know. And that's what happens if you're right over where the earthquake happens. Now, if you're out in the ocean and there is a tsunami, then the water levels, they said, change roughly up to 3 feet. And they said, actually, that's not even very noticeable on a ship. You might notice a little bit of movement but there would be no danger to the ship. Also, remember that there are stabilizers on the ship, so that helps as long as those are working, right? But when we think about what we've seen, in which we've seen movies and things where there've been a tsunami, and they've I can't remember the name of the movie at the moment, but the one with The Rock, he was in it, and they ended up having a tsunami, and there was actually like a cruise ship or something they showed, and it was, of course, Hollywood dramatized, and that's not exactly how it would be. He said, really, you wouldn't even notice anything if you're out in the ocean. Now, the flip side of that is if you're in shallow water or you're at port, there would be noticeable differences. He didn't really go into detail on that on the video that I was watching of what kind of noticeable differences. But you think about what we've seen with tsunamis that have happened, and with it pulling the water out, and then it coming back. So you have to take all of that into consideration. And really, that would be the only probably part of it that I would be real concerned about. It sounds like if you're over where the earthquake was, or you're out in open ocean, chances are things are going to be just fine, and there's not going to be any damage or anything. So just if you're in shallow water or at port, that there could be some damage. So good information to know, because I didn't know that information, but that's a good thing to know. So whenever you are out, because actually the Caribbean is rocked with earthquakes all the time. They're just not typically that big. So you don't usually hear about them that often, but if you actually go and look it up, they have earthquakes quite often. The ones that I've seen lately have all been like 3 point or 4 point, something. So 7.6 is very big for them. So, luckily everything was fine, no major damage or anything. And I think cruisers went along and didn't even really know anything that happened until afterwards. So, good information to know if you are cruising, or even if you are going to an all-inclusive in any of these areas to know. So we told you several weeks ago that red-eye flights were going to be coming to Southwest, and they have officially started. So there are currently 5 red-eye flights. So Las Vegas to Baltimore, Washington, Las Vegas to Orlando, Los Angeles to Baltimore, Washington, Los Angeles to Nashville, Tennessee, and Phoenix to Baltimore, Washington. So Southwest plans to increase this number of red-eyes by June to 33 flights a day. So red-eyes are coming to Southwest. Looks like Royal Caribbean is headed back to the port of San Diego in 2026 after being gone for a little bit more than a decade. Serenade of the Seas will be sailing in October of 2026 out of San Diego with 3, 4, and 7 night cruises to the Mexican Riviera. So, if you are interested in any of these sailings, please visit me at enjoytheviewtravel.com for more details. Hey, so how many solo travelers do we have? Well, coming up on March 1st, it's National Plan a Solo Vacation Day. How many of you have ever gone on vacation by yourself before? I have done it once. I prefer to go with people, but I'm not opposed to going solo. I've not done a solo cruise by myself yet. I would like to do that at some point, but I haven't done that yet. But I'd love to help you plan your solo vacation. So reach out to me at enjoytheviewtravel.com for more details. So we've been talking a lot about washing your hands and trying to avoid the norovirus, especially if you're going on a cruise. And we talked about the outbreak on Royal Caribbean's Radiance of the Seas last week. There were about 90 passengers who reported symptoms. So I wanted to go a little bit more in depth about norovirus, the nitty-gritty, the ugly part of it. What are the symptoms of norovirus? What is norovirus? So a norovirus is a gastrointestinal illness. Most of the reported symptoms have been vomiting and diarrhea. Those are the two most common. And of course, those can lead to dehydration. So what can you do if you have these symptoms? Obviously, you can take your own medication to help you out with those symptoms. So any kind of anti-diarrheal or nausea medication, just in case. And you should also report your symptoms to the medical staff on board so that they are aware. After they reach so many people, they have to notify the CDC. And so just to keep track of it, it's good to let them know. The CDC not only says to wash your hands, which I have been telling you, but also they're saying get enough rest, make sure you're getting enough rest, and also enough water. As I mentioned, dehydration before. So make sure that you're doing those things. And it's pretty treatable by you on your own, but yes, let them know. So what are the cruise lines doing to help with this issue? Royal Caribbean Group put out a message that they were enhancing measures to make sure that clients or guests and crew were protected, and so extra cleaning. Now, I've heard some talk on Facebook, so take that with a grain of salt, but I've heard some talk that they were also implementing servers at the buffet to help with that, so that everybody's not touching the tongs, just the employees. This is also something that they did on just about, I think, every cruise line during COVID. So it's sparked some conversation. Also, if this is going to be something that Royal does fleet-wide, is this going to be something that Celebrity Cruise will follow suit on, since Celebrity Cruise is owned by Royal Caribbean International? So we don't know yet. We haven't heard anything about that. Now, I am sailing on Celebrity Ascent in a couple of weeks, so I obviously will be able to tell you if that was something that we saw on our cruise or not. I really haven't seen or heard anybody else talking about it yet, but it looks like it's going to be something that Royal is going to go back to, at least for a while, to try and kind of help. Illnesses have really been up this year. Just across the board, not just on cruise ships, but I'm also a teacher, and we've seen increased illnesses. It's also that time of year. This is always when we see a bump in the illnesses. Flu, especially quite a bit of strep throat, things like that. So those are things that you just want to keep in mind, and it is that time of year, but this can happen at any time during the year. So be cautious, wash your hands, have your own medication with you should you need it. Report it to the medical staff if you start having those symptoms, so that they are aware, and you can let them know how you're treating it. And if you get worse, obviously go back to the medical staff and say, hey, my symptoms have not improved at all. In fact, they're getting worse. Let them know. But that's the skinny on norovirus, because a lot of people don't know what it is. They hear it and they hear outbreak, and it's just a gastrointestinal illness. So it's just kind of like basically like an enhanced stomach bug. So protect yourself and your family as much as you can, and do what you can to help others as well. There is a swim alert that has been issued near Cozumel, Mexico, due to the increased presence of the Portuguese man of war. And this is what it looks like out of the water. It has been spotted in the water as well as on shore on the beach. So the sting is reported to be pretty painful. So be very cautious. It's not typically life-threatening. So just be cautious, especially if you have kids. Just be on the look. It kind of balloons up a little bit, as you can see. So just be on the lookout for it. Those tentacles, like I said, can get over 30 feet long. So use extreme caution. If you like the content that we are sharing, be sure to hit the like and share button below so that you can help grow our channel, and click on that subscribe button so you do not miss our latest content. So we've been talking recently about the increased prices in airfare. pretty much across the board. But reports from the International Airfare Association say they expect airfare to increase again this year by approximately 15%. The increase is due to two different things. One, the increase in travel demand. Last year it grew by 10%, and it's expected to grow by another 8% this year. And the second is that there is a delay in new planes from both Boeing and Airbus. And this delay in flights, as well as the increase in demand, means that there are less seats. So that just means automatically that prices are going up. And basically those who can pay for it will get the seat. Kind of just the way it is right now. So if you are planning to purchase airfare for flights later in the year, you might want to go ahead and purchase those sooner rather than later. Okay, let's get to this week's travel deal of the week. Since we talked about Serenade of the Seas, sailing out of San Diego starting in October of 2026, I thought I'd take a look and see what rates they had available right now, and they actually look pretty good. So right now you can do 3, 4, or 7 night sailings to the Mexican Riviera, and this are including ports such as Ensenada, Catalina Island, Cabo San Lucas, and rates are starting at $466.35 per person for interior cabins. That is on the 3-night sailing. Of course, pricing is going to go up based on the number of nights and based on the category of room, stateroom that you pick. So pricing is always subject to change until it is booked, but that's what I'm seeing right now, and those are pretty decent prices per person. So if you're interested in booking information for this cruise or another cruise, please visit enjoytheviewtravel.com to contact me for more details. All right, it's our travel tip of the week. It's time to pack. This is the most fun part of the prep, the actual packing and putting it into the suitcase. I love this part. So this week we are going to talk about packing. So I'm starting to get my things together, and I'm starting to pack for our upcoming cruise on Celebrity Scent. And so where do you start? Well, first, I made a list. I told you guys, I'm a list person. You guys know this. So I made a list of things that I'll need, like the basics. Start with the basics: your underwear, your socks, pajamas, bras, bathing suits, cover-ups, toiletries, things like that. And then once I have the basics done and the basics, I can pretty much go ahead and pack. That's out of the way. Then it comes the decision-making part. It's not hard to pull out a pair of pajamas and, socks and underwear. That part's pretty easy, right? Focusing on my daily outfits and my outfits that I'm going to wear at night for dinner and entertainment and whatnot. That's the part that takes a little bit more time, because there are things I have to think about. Am I going to have any formal nights? How formal do I want to be? We have any theme nights or dress-up nights that I need to think about? The rest of the nights are typically business casual, so that makes that a little bit easier. But and then I will usually leave those night clothes hanging until last minute. That's like the last thing that I pack, because those are the things that I don't want to wrinkle as much. So I pack them last minute, but it's good to know wherever you're going, whether you're going on a cruise like I am, or whether you're going to an all-inclusive or just a hotel. Can I take a steamer or a travel iron with me? In the case of a cruise, no, you cannot. Cruise lines do not allow you to take steamers or travel irons. So if I can't take it with me, what's my backup plan? Is there access to an iron in their laundry area? On most cruises, they do have a laundry room, and typically the iron is free game. There's no charge for that, just to wash your clothes and dry your clothes. So usually that is free game. Now, there's typically only one in each laundry room. So, you may have to wait because other people may be wanting to iron their things as well. So those are some things for you to think about if you're going to have access to those. And that's why I pack those things last. And those are when I can unpack in my room, I get those out quickly and I get them hung up so that wrinkles can start falling out with whatever did wrinkle. Then I'm going to look at my clothing during the day. And these are some things that I can typically go ahead and pack as well. Shorts, capri pants, t-shirts, tanks, things like that. Those are typically things that I can go ahead and pack, and they may not wrinkle as much either. So I can go ahead and start thinking about that. Is it a port day? Am I getting off the ship? What shoes do I need? All those things you have to take into consideration. Do you use packing cubes? Now, I have some packing cubes that I've used. They are non-compression packing cubes. I'm not totally in love with them. I've used them. They came in handy. I might use them again this trip. I don't know. I guess it'll just depend on my mood when I start packing. But my mom has gotten some of the compression packing cubes, and she's going to be using those for the first time on this trip. So I'm going to kind of wait and see how she likes them. And if they really do work as well as everyone says, and then I might get me a set. So I'll let you know on that. But then I also focus on toiletries and miscellaneous. Okay, so I have some bags that I use specifically for travel, and I keep travel size things in them to take with me. So, and they stay in that bag all the time. So I'll go ahead and pull that bag out and have that. We're going to be checking our bags. So, for things like body wash or shampoo, I wouldn't really have to worry about the size because we're not just doing carry-ons. We're checking our luggage, so I could put all of that in there. Now, the good thing about with Celebrity Cruise Line is they have pretty decent shampoo, conditioner, and shower gel. So I don't have to take any extra for that. So I don't have to worry about that. But also, what miscellaneous items do I need to take? So on a cruise, there are several things that you might need to take. So we are going to take magnetic hooks. We are going to take pens and highlighters because you get a paper copy of all of your activities. So if you want to go through and highlight what you want to do so you can find it easily when you look back over it. Lanyards. So with Celebrity Cruise Line, you have a SeaPass card. And so we put it inside the lanyard and we wear it. With Princess, you don't have that because with Princess, you have the medallion, and so people wear that on their watches. They come with a lanyard, so you wouldn't necessarily have to buy one that they fit in that you can wear. I wanted to say that's what we did if we wore ours on the lanyard that it come with, so I didn't have to take an extra one. But if you have, so for example, if you're on Princess and you have the medallion and they send the medallion to you, you have to remember to take that with you. Don't forget that. Of course, they can make you new ones if you do, but don't forget those because then it's going to take you longer to get on the ship. But with Celebrity, we don't get our SeaPass card until we're on the ship, so I don't have to worry about that. I just have to take my lanyard with me. Collapsible water bottle. I have it right here. I'm actually testing it out because it's brand new. And so I've not used one of these before, so I'm just testing it out today. But it has a silicone body. It folds all the way up, so this will go with me in my carry-on bag so that I can get water at the airport and not have to pay like the outrageous prices at the airport for something to drink. Or I may get a vitamin water at the airport because I know that Nashville Airport does carry vitamin water, and so I can get one in case I want something with a little bit more flavor. Some other things that you might want to take: reef safe sunscreen. That's really important if you're going on a cruise or even if you are going to an all-inclusive resort. Please take reef safe sunscreen to help keep our oceans and our beaches in good conditions. Let's see what else. There's so many more things that you could take. There are tons of suggestions online for things that you can pack for a cruise, for all-inclusive vacations, or vacations in general. There are lots of checklists that you can get for free and print off to help you pack. All of that information is easily found online. If you need help with that, please reach out to me and I can help you with that as well. But I am off to start gathering all of these things and start putting into my suitcase. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's view on travel, and until next time, enjoy the view. Thank you for watching this week's View on Travel. Be sure to visit us at enjoytheviewtravel.com. Be sure to hit that like, share, subscribe, and notification bell so you don't miss our next episode.